Proof is in the pudding, and the pudding in this case is a football. Boom! Eat my goal! The goalie has got football pie all over his shirt.
Welcome to this episode of the Down the Pub podcast. On this week's episode, we are doing our end of season awards. We call them the Pubbies. I always make sure to put that extra B in there because they could be called something else, which we don't really want to get involved with on this show. So
not on a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
But then we could be sponsored by Manscaped as well.
Whatever happened to those guys? I think when we started the podcast first, we must have got 5 or 6 messages from them asking us to jump on board with them, and
they sponsored Simon's podcast when he was doing that for a while. But
they've done a few, and I just didn't want to get involved with talking, like, because they give you like a segment to talk about. So if you ever listening to anybody who's sponsored by them, they randomly start talking about like ball sacks and stuff like that, and I just want to get to that.
And he's not into the man. And he's not into the manscaping.
No. Hey.
You barely get him to shave properly.
Natural.
Yeah, I'm a 70s.
Natural habit.
I was born in the 70s. I live my life that way. As you can hear, Derek and Dave are here to kind of go over our awards. It's going to be this year is going to be like a little bit different, where we're going to we can all give our opinions on what we thought was what. But before we do that, there's some CPL news. Today it was announced that Macron are no longer going to be making the kits. Hummel have come on board. They're obviously been looking after the NSL, and I guess that was a success enough that CSB kind of have become friends with them. Just want to get your thoughts on it. My first reaction was that, hey, they might actually make jerseys for the more rotund man, but apparently somebody said to me that they fit small, so I'm fucked again. So anyway, what's your thoughts on the jerseys? I know, Dave, that they'd sponsored Everton for quite a while, and they always kind of made really nice kits. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Macron's been a great partner for the league as it was getting going. I think the biggest problem with a lot of these is the volumes on the individual teams every year aren't really like, we're not talking about Premier League where you're selling hundreds of thousands of kits. Like, you're selling thousands if you're lucky, right? Like, Valor's not selling thousands. Halifax probably selling in the thousands. So that's really strong. They make great product. They spend a lot of time, good attention to detail. I still remember the black watch kit that they did for Everton the year that James Rodriguez was there, and then they did a yellow one away. And they were just stunning kits. I was like, so they take a lot of time to understand the history and really build that in. To the fit, though, Anto, like, it's the problem with having all these European companies. Having worked at Helly Hansen before, they really don't care about 5X, unfortunately. So not that you're 5X, but I'm just saying, like, they don't do that full size run. So hopefully the league will push that and the women's stuff with them as well. So it's both sides of that.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to see. I think from having talked to Derek a couple of times about Derek Martin, about how they go about designing stuff at Macron, where they go over to Italy and kind of are part of the process, which is really cool. I don't know what the situation was with Hummel and the NSL last year, whether they just kind of had a template that the teams worked off of, but I've always liked Hummel stuff, so I'm excited to see what they come up with. Derek, what are your thoughts? You're a jersey connoisseur, like being a Bose fan. You see about 10 to 20 of these a year, so
Yeah, Bose fans are legally required to buy at least 3 jerseys a season. So no, I do like how I've got a soft spot for Hummel. They designed some of the classic Wimbledon kits from the 80s and 90s. So I love those throwbacks. I thought they did a nice job with the NSL kits. I didn't feel like a template, because I think every team had a fairly distinctive design I really liked the Montreal Roses one that had the rose pattern
Yeah.
in it. That one really popped. So some nice designs. So yeah, again, the issues with the sizing. I thought the quality was nice, very, very breathable compared to the Macron kits, which had, like, to me, a bit of a plasticky feel to them. But the Hummel ones were nice and breathable, so I found them very, very comfortable. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they come up with for the
And
season.
Anto, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if there's any further tie into Canada soccer because, the way you would leverage that for the league is to have that carrot sitting out there. And I don't know how long the Nike deal is with those guys, but as we've seen, like Nike's not putting their strongest foot forward with the Canadian jerseys.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if there's some tie in there.
Yeah, the Macron ones probably feel a bit plasticky because they're made from recycled bottles, Derek. So that's probably why it feels that way. And are we supposed to pronounce it with that accent on it? Like I feel like I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Macron, is that what we're supposed to?
Macron.
Okay, thank you. I'm so uncultured. Thank you for making me a better person.
I'm sure someone will come on and teach us the proper pronunciation of Hummel as well. So
Hummel.
If there's any Danish people listening to the
Hummel.
podcast, please reach out and let us know how to say these things properly. So yeah, and the other piece of news obviously was us having a forgeless final. I just wanted to get your reaction. Are you pretty excited that we're going to have Cavalry and Ottawa in the final?
I will be excited if Cavalry wins. With them losing Salter, I think like Ottawa would go with a less strong team into their, depending on who they buy, of course, or rent from the Spanish league for next year. But I'd like to see Calgary do it again, and then we can just claim that we just had trouble against champions all year long, and that was our big hill that we never could climb. So I'd be happy to share that story.
Derek?
The champions and York for some reason. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for the league. I do think that, Forge have established themselves as a bit of a dynasty, but I'm not sure that's a great narrative for Hamilton, but not necessarily a great narrative for the league. So happy on that front. Ottawa was consistently good all year. Cavs really kind of came on late in the season, but have looked excellent in the playoffs so far. And so I think they're going to give them a run for their money in Ottawa. I agree with Dave that, as between the two of them, I'd probably prefer to see Cavs come out on top. Ottawa fans are insufferable enough without having actually won much of anything so far. I can only imagine what it'll be like if they win a league title. Big asterisk. There's a small subset of Ottawa fans that are insufferable and will be rendered even more insufferable. So a little bit, I mean, we discussed a couple of weeks ago the whole thing about Forge not touching the trophy.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I got a little bit of schadenfreude from that, sort of the hubris of them saying we're not going to touch the trophy because the real trophy to win is the playoff final, and then having them lose 2 playoff games at home and miss the final entirely. So nobody except Bobby gets to touch a trophy at Forge this season, I guess. So
I absolutely love it. I was like when the game was finished, I was just like, yes, karma, go fuck yourselves. I said at the time I hated that whole thing. It was like such a weird flex for them to do, and I'm glad that karma came and bit them on the ear. So yeah, I think like obviously Calvary won it like last year, so you kind of want to see a new winner, but then again, it is Ottawa, and they are technically our main rivals, I guess, because they're the closest to us. Is that right? But do we actually have like a rival? Do we have anybody like like they tried to do that weird Pacific thing, which never worked.
if it's anyone, I actually think it's York. I think we've probably had some of our most physical confrontations with York, including the playoff game, including the one earlier in the season with Leon, including the one where they tried to take Morelli out at the knees, and there was fisticuffs. I think we've had some, you've had that Labor Day Classic that's gone on for a few years now. That's been a great back and forth rivalry. So I kind of weirdly think that if anyone's our rival, it's York, just based on the quality of the confrontations over the years.
The team with the most fans against the team with the least amount of fans. I like it.
Second least. How dare you?
Back to Jimmy Brennan throwing his clipboard away at the Island games after that late equalizer. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes into the CPL Hall of Fame along with that table that was on the side of the pitch
yeah.
that was destroyed.
Uh,
So moving on to our pubbies, PUBB. Let's get that right. So I thought that we would leave the player ones just a little bit later and just kind of go through the other ones first. So for you guys, what was your favorite memory / moment of the year?
Oh, you're gonna let me go first now?
Yeah.
I got to go through my notes and go to my favorite memory. Okay, my favorite memory it was actually quite easy. It was the Thiago hat trick, and seeing that first ever hat trick at the Wanderers ground, seeing how he scored them. After seeing that, I was just like, man, like nothing's gonna stop us this season. We're gonna go on a roll, and then he got hurt. So anyway, that was kind of the highlight of my season, was seeing that for the first time and just feeling like we're seeing a new stage in his development was super exciting.
I love that. That's a really good one. Derek?
I think the 4-0 win against York on September 1st. I just feel like tape to tape that was our most comprehensive win of the season and was just a joy to watch start to finish. Some fine gentlemen got us pitch side seats for that one, so we had a great view of everything right down to Leon getting that red card at the end of the game, which York somehow turned into this grave injustice that
I know, right?
but anyway, no, I just thought that was probably the most enjoyable game to watch of the season, and back to the point of, I think, where we look at who we stack up against in the league, York are probably the closest thing we have to a rival at this point. So
That's a good one too. Mine is a more of a personal one where the the day I wore an orange shirt to us a home game against Ford is probably my moment of the year because I had basically like Leo and those guys kind of giving me shit over it, and then I had some friends that from football were in 104, took pictures, zoomed in on this fucking big orange lummox by the goal, and sent me the picture, and I was like, what the fuck's it? So that would be my favorite one. But those two are amazing as well. I think it's kind of the hat trick one's a really good one. I think that like the fact that we got to see that was pretty cool. So best chant of the year.
Ooh.
I put this one out to the Discord because I think, again, the ones I might have picked might not have been suitable for a family-friendly podcast once again. So the one that came up most often seemed to be that I kind of got a kick out of too is Yessie with a hat.
Yeah.
Every time he wore the hat in
That was
goal,
awesome.
we chanted
Yeah,
about how Yessie was wearing the hat, and someone was sharing the fact that somebody in their section one game misheard, and they thought everyone was chanting Wesley in a hat. So that's what they were chanting.
I think like every time then there was like a ray of sunshine on the grounds. Everybody was like, "Is he gonna put the hat on?" Yeah, that's a really good one. I forgot about that. Dave?
Yeah, I have two actually, and I just thought of the second one. The classic, the referee's a W. Always makes me laugh because there's just not that many good refs in this league, and I really hope that starts to pick up year on year, just consistency wise. Don't need you to be good all game long, but just be consistent. My favorite chant of the year, though, goes to 108 with the "Where's the lightning" chant during the last game. Where's the lightning? Where's the lightning? Anyway, so that was mine for the year. And I will give a last honorable mention to my saying that I got to get off every single game, usually when the referee's at his or her zenith of terribleness, which is, "You're having a nightmare." And I make sure they can hear it and they're close enough. And then it's not a chant. I just get it off once a game, and my wife makes fun of me. And now she uses it against me at home, like if I do something totally wrong.
Dave not only heckles officials, I think he's the only person I've ever seen heckle ball kids. So
Oh yeah, true.
Holy Jesus, Dave, that's a bit. Wow. Okay.
It's more like, you just got to do your job, right? Like, if we're winning, just hold on, relax. We're losing, get that ball in. Let's go.
They're not they're not getting paid. It's not their job. It's like they're just
Listen,
like kids
listen,
hanging out the side of the pitch, man. Jesus
listen.
Christ.
You
Fucking
The
see
best
Roy,
Dave,
seats.
Dave
It's the
giving them
best
the
seats in the
gears, a
house.
yeah,
little
Yeah,
tear running down their faces.
Roy Keane over here, huh?
yeah,
Jesus Christ, that's their
yeah,
job.
yeah,
Mine, the one that Derek alluded to that he thought wasn't suitable for a family show. It's a family show. I really don't know, but
What, the
yeah,
one we were chanting at Nimick?
yeah, but I actually prefer the um because we did with Salter because Salter had come and nothing was said, but then obviously he became good and was like banging in goals left, right, and center. So then that chant moved over to him. So that whoever we were singing, I think the ref got it at some stage as well. So yeah, I being from Europe, Derek, as you know, that word is quite used liberally, a lot more liberally than what it is here. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I felt like I was at home, you know.
Well, it was a nice kind of like circle around because when Sammy was here, we used to sing that song about him, except we wanted him to score us a goal.
Okay.
And now we want to know something else.
Right.
yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, like, I think the Nimic one though was Jesus. Like I think even he was probably taken a little bit aback by that. I didn't think he was expecting that much of a hostile reaction, and I wonder how that came across on TSN. Hey, we just signed this deal, and then the C word is used at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Um, who is your favorite signing of the year?
Isaiah, no question. To me, he filled he filled that gap that we've been missing for the past few seasons of like a true box to box midfielder, and I thought he was a bit of an unsung. I don't think he got nearly the credit he deserves for the quality that he showed. Didn't get into enough teams of the week, frankly. And you look at his underlying numbers, very good. So I definitely signing of the season for me.
Dave?
Yeah, he was definitely on my list. I had a top three. I'm going to go with TMG though. If you look at some of his defensive stats, they are just ridiculous across the whole league. Something like 87 headed clearances over the course of the year. Like in the tackling and the tackling percentage, 61% is very strong. I think he allowed us to move to that back five. It would have been interesting to see if he'd been in a real 4-4-2 with a Meki Desh ball playing type of guy, how that would have looked and what that would have looked like defensively as well. But for me, he really shored up our back line and gave us that solidity that we needed for most of the year.
I kind of wish I'd got somebody different, but I think I'd go. I say I know TMG was the perfect response to losing Dan Nimick, and I don't think he got enough kudos at the end of the season for the season that he had. Dan's in literally everything, but I thought TMG had a fantastic season. But I think I'd say it was just perfect for what we needed. Worst signing of the year. Joking.
Wow.
Your goal of the season.
I had a tough time with this. I kind of had two criteria, and it was sort of, what was it like to watch, but also what was the importance of that goal in that particular game. And so I will give an honorable mention to Telfer's goal against Forge on July 25th in the 23rd minute. It was a tying goal, beautiful through ball from Lorenzo, and he just takes one touch and chips it over the keeper, like just a perfect striker's goal. That being said, we lost that game, so I think my final choice was Diash against Valor on July 1st in the 86th minute. That turned out to be the game winner, and it was one of those games where we dominated the second half, but just couldn't seem to get a goal. And he kind of collects it in the ball. There's a shot taken, it bounces out. He kind of collects it, turns, and slips it just. It hits the post and bounces across and just caught the keeper flat-footed. If it had been any further to the left, keeper probably would have had it. Been any further to the right, it would have been off the post and out. So he just like absolutely threaded the needle on it. And yeah, and like I said, that turned the tide of that game. Ended up being a 3-1 win. But were it not for that goal, I think we would have walked away with a draw in a game which we otherwise should have won. So.
It also gave us like so much momentum because it was kind of start of the season, and also our away form wasn't great the year before, so it kind of we had a decent start to the year, and it kind of just gave us that little bit of a boost, I think. So it was such an important goal. Dave.
Yeah, I had that top three, and it's very similar, except I got a better top one. I think I had that goal as number three. I had the Telfer goal as number two, but really less for the Telfer finish than the Lorenzo pass. Like that was unbelievable. I'm still like I just kept rewinding. I'm like, first of all, why didn't Nimick get it? But I'm like, it was just too far ahead, and he didn't think the guy was had any chance to get there. So I just that was for the pass because I'm still not convinced that's what Telfer was trying to do. He could tell us that. It's Wes hitting that blast into the top right corner with his right foot, coming in off a corner kick that had been partially cleared and just like literally hit the beam in the corner. And I just, oh man, I just remember like, did that just go in watching that? And I'm like, then you lose your mind, delay losing of mind. So that would be mine for the year.
Amazing. My one is kind of like along the lines of like Derek's one, the import. Like I kind of went with more of the importance one. I thought the Telfer one was really good. It was Isaiah against Valor. It was like I think it was the second goal when he had his back to the goal, and I was like, and he just speed was I don't even know how he did it. Like he managed to like shimmy away from the defender and put it away. And it was a game where we weren't playing very well. And that second goal kind of killed Valor off. And I just thought it was like he had a couple of goals like that were like almost like striker finishes. There was one where I think like he kind of just did like a nice like little dink over the keeper. But that one I just thought like in terms of importance because we were obviously coming into the run in, we were having some shocking away games, and that really kind of gave us a jolt. And I thought it was like a really well taken goal for a midfielder. All right, so the defender of the year. I think there's only one answer here, really, isn't there?
Actually, so there is one answer, but there's cases to be made when you look at some of the stats for So and Perlman, because they have Perlman as defender. He's got some phenomenal numbers, like a 4 goal plus assist number, 15 completed dribbles out of that right back, 38 tackles at 63%, and a 79% passing average. And I think similar to Isaiah, a lot of the stuff he didn't show up on the scorecard. Like he was forcing teams to attack the other side against West or against Kareem. So definitely. And I will say that Jefferson's numbers surprised me. And I think if you extrapolated that over the course of a year, his numbers are actually would have been better than TMG's, which is interesting. But TMG, 70 tackles, 26 shots, right? He had a whack of shots on net, 28 interceptions, 89% pass accuracy, and 94 headed clearances. And that doesn't even have like the rest of his clearances there. So like that guy was just phenomenal all year.
Incredible. There.
Yeah, I saw it much the way Dave did. I had TMG as my choice. I mean, if you're looking for a headed clearance, he's your guy. He's a goal scoring threat at the other end of the pitch too, which is something we haven't always gotten a lot of goals from our center backs. So good to have a dual threat that way. But honorable mention to Perlman, who I am going to pick in a different category. And agree. I cannot for the life of me figure out how Jefferson Alphonse didn't get into the lineup, into the starting 11 sooner this season, given how well he had played the previous season after he came in, and how well he played when he started to get starts this season. So
I echo both you guys. I do agree with Alphonse. I think there was kind of a weird patch there where we had players that we all thought should have been playing. Obviously, it's the manager's decision, but like Probo had come out of the team, Raya was out of the team, and then Alphonse couldn't even make the bench at one stage, right? And then he came in and he just it goes to show you like he's like I don't know the guy, but he just seems like a really good professional that you take those kind of knockbacks and you just get into the team and just do really well. But you just can't look past TMG for that. Like the guy's a rock, and I think that would be it was such a good response to like Nimick leaving the team that we probably got I think the best defender in the league. Dan's a very good player, and Dan's offensively is probably a little bit better just for his ball distribution. But when it comes down to like just being rock solid and somebody who can just nick you a goal, like Tim G's the man, really, isn't he? Midfielder of the year.
Go with the obvious choice, the maestro, Lorenzo, with an honorable mention to Isaiah. Because again, and I thought they complemented each other well, and I thought that Isaiah did enough where we became a lot less reliant on Lorenzo this season, which I think is probably a good thing. So yeah.
Dave?
Are you guys including Rhea as a midfielder or forward?
I was going to put him as a forward.
Okay,
Just because we're a little bit short on
yeah,
people for that category.
yeah. It's the numbers for Lorenzo are just staggering, and like just when you look at his pass percentage, the amount of passes. The only thing I think that holds the maestro back is like how much of it goes forward versus how much is just controlling play. Like I'd like to see more of that. And like, again, I think you're absolutely right. Him and Isaiah, that could be just a really strong partnership going next year if they can solidify if Ray's playing in front of them or how they're going to play for next year. But like, oh my gosh, the numbers are ridiculous for both Isaiah and for Lorenzo. Like over 1,000 like completed passes. I think it was like 1,600 for Lorenzo. Like it's just insane. And like the tackles and the long balls from Lorenzo are also crazy, and interceptions. Like those guys between them, like there's just so much there that like the numbers do tell a story, but I actually even think they're way more important than what those numbers even tell me. Is just like if either of those guys were out of the game, we had no drive, we had nothing going forward. And Isaiah's passion during the game and getting lots of yellow cards for dissent. Also, shout out to 9 yellow cards for Lorenzo on the course of the year. Well done.
Yeah,
so I will give Lorenzo.
I feel like tackling is an area where Lorenzo's really improved in his time with us. I like the first season, he'd have like one nightmarish tackle a game, and when he was getting done for yellow card accumulation, it was usually for bad tackles. And he's still getting some cards, but usually for different kinds of offenses now. So I think his tackling has significantly improved since his first season with us, which is great.
I just hope that we can see from both those guys and Rhea next year, assuming Rhea is still there, is more shots on target from those three. Because like it's still low. Rhea kind of bumps the number up again, but like you have to go to Thiago to see that anyone that's got a half decent shot on target percentage from our team.
Wow, that's crazy. I think with Lorenzo, like was it the Calvary game when he was suspended, and you saw how I think we lost away maybe, and we saw how poor we were without him. I think Rampy had come in to kind of replace him maybe, and
Was that the 3-1 loss?
yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, I think that was one.
Yep.
We just didn't really gel at all. So, but for me, I gonna move away. Like Lorenzo, he was a bit of a Paul Scholes in the first season, really, wasn't he? Just his tackling was all over the place, and he definitely has improved in that. But my midfield of the year is I just think it was a great signing. I remember when we signed him, Angus McNabb, because obviously Angus had him at York, was like this the guys have needed for the last 3 years, and he certainly lives up to that billing. Like he was just fantastic. I think having someone like that alongside Lorenzo lets Lorenzo sing a little bit, where like I think he can trust himself to be able to move forward a little bit more. I think that's just going to develop over time. Like we can see what Lorenzo's capable of. That pass to Telfer was probably one of the best passes I've ever seen in the CPL, to be perfectly honest. And I think him having that reassurance that I say it can like hang back if he wants to push a little bit more forward. I just think I say it just gives us so much more options. So moving on to our forward of the year. Who did you guys go for that?
Well, now that we've got Rhea in that category, now I'm kind of torn. I mean, it's a Rhea Thiago show, but I feel like when Thiago was out, we had no direction. Any other striker up there, we just didn't have it. Even Rhea couldn't drag the team up. Like he could help us create opportunities, but without Thiago's movement and bullying of the defenders, the team just fell apart attack wise. So I got to give it to Thiago, and hopefully the images of him training with an MLS team is just training with an MLS team. We get him back next year, or we're selling him on for some big money, and that gets reinvested.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm going with Thiago as well. I think if Ray had gotten a bit more playing time, he might have been able to challenge for this. But Thiago, for all the reasons Dave outlined, you notice him when he's not out of the lineup. When he's not in the lineup, it's a huge hole. Partly because we had no other strikers that our coach was willing to play, but yeah. Yeah, I think was in the Golden Boot race for a good chunk of the season until he got hurt, obviously, and so and I think part of our struggles down the stretch were definitely due to missing him due to injury. So yeah,
I think we always talk about this league being a development league, all that kind of stuff that they say. But if you've watched him like from when he became a Wanderer to where he is now, like it's definitely like same with Sammy Salters when he moved to Ottawa. It's just coming on leaps and bounds. His game is so much. Like, he was always a guy who was like good at closing down people, blah blah blah. But like he's just way more reassured in front of the goal, and even like the playoff game, you could just depend on him to score as a goal, and he was really like the fact that he's got the audacity to pull off two overhead kicks in the same game, and any other day they probably go in. You know what I mean? It's just I can see why he's training with an MLS team. I personally, I think that he probably get another year with us because I think he needs to get rid of that injury thing he's got going on. That maybe somebody wouldn't put out the sort of money that we deserve for him if just because of the injury record. So I think he needs a good season of just being able to stay fit, and I think we'll probably see him move on a level. But yeah, fantastic player, fantastic guy. I just love like his energy, and like I think it was like after like 2 minutes of the playoff, he was like trying to rouse the crowd, and even though the crowd was like off their heads in the first place, it just got noisier, and I love that, and I think that he's such a good player and such a good guy to have around the club. So yeah, I totally agree with you, and it's not by default. I think that yeah, I think if we had been anybody else there, I'd still go along with Thiago. So I do want to just pop in a category. I don't know if you guys will be okay with this, but I wanted to do like most improved player.
oh geez. Well, how about you start us off then and give us some time to
Okay.
think about it?
I was going to go with Kareem. I think he's kind of been an odd duck in a little bit, where he's kind of just been kind of hovering around the club. Like he's had like two bad injury seasons. And then obviously he was at school and stuff like that. And I think people were always kind of wondering where he kind of fitted in. And then with the injuries to Mekadesh and Julian Dunn not being able to get himself going this season, he was just fantastic. It's like him and TMG were a great partnership. I think he complemented him well. He did always have the one or two like little mental lapses as Dave always mentions, but I think that he overcame a lot of that. And then when Mekadesh came back in, a lot of people thought that he was going to be out of the team, and then he just he found a new position and he did really well at it. I thought like he had an assist, and he's just a kind of really good. He's a really good guy, but he's also a good player to have around. As somebody who can kind of play multiple positions, and yeah, I think that from kind of where the poor guy was with the injuries that he had to now like being almost like a guaranteed starter, I would give it to him. Who wants to go next? Derek? Did you have time to think?
Yeah, I think Kareem's a great shout. I'd maybe add Vitor Diaz to the list. I think last year he was used primarily as a sub, struggled a bit with fitness and stuff last year, I think. And this year he really kind of came on and by the end of the season was a locked in starter. And again, I think is another player who, because of his injury rate at the end of the season. I think he's the kind of player that could have been a difference maker in that game against York. And unfortunately, without him, we were maybe lacking that little bit of difference. So I'd nominate him.
I like that shout. What I really liked about Vitor this year is it wasn't his work rate, but because the one thing that really ticks me off about him still is when he loses the ball and he could jog 5 yards to tackle the ball back and he just stops. That kills me. Like, that's why I can't put him most improved. But his hold up play and the amount of fouls he took, phenomenal this year. Like, so if we can, again, keeping Tiago, having him, having Rhea, like, I think that's a good front three. If we can get a little bit more behind them, I think I would actually go with Perlman. The first game, he got absolutely reamed by their left winger until he got hurt. Like, the dude was just running past him over and over again. But by the end of the year, teams weren't really attacking down that side. Like, they were probing our left side all the time, going at West, going at Telfer, going at when he was over there, which wasn't a great idea, but that's where they were going. And he gave us a lot going forward. I could totally see a path for him playing as a number 6 center midfield, like, very good on the ball, can take a player on, was strong. So I saw, and he was always right in front of me for the first half. So I saw a lot of him this year and thought he had the biggest jump.
So, young player of the year. Derek, do you want to start this one off?
Sure. I'm going to go with Perlman for that one. I think Thiago is maybe the obvious choice, but I do think that really, I think Adam should have been in the consideration for under 21 player of the year for the league. As Dave said, struggled maybe the first couple of matches, but very quickly became a very steady, had to transition partway through the season from playing as a right-sided center back to playing as a right wing back, made the transition very successfully. Thought he was solid defensively and an offensive threat. So good on both ends of the field or both sides of the ball, and was, as we said earlier, an honorable mention for defender of the year too. So hard to believe he just turned 20 this season, right? So got to think that, I think I said it before, but you've got to think TFC is very happy with how that loan went. Lots of minutes, great progress over the course of the season, and has shown some versatility. So,
Dave?
Yeah, I had Perlman on my list, and I was still debating between him and Thiago, and I was thinking about Alphonse as well. He just didn't get enough minutes, and I actually don't know if Alphonse improved that much during the year. I think he was ready to go. So I'm just sad we didn't see more of him through the year. But I think I will go with Thiago, and it's just back to my point before, like, and to Anthony, what you just said, like, the amount of improvements in all different facets of his game. Like, this year, he could be depended on to hold the ball. He could be dependent to actually make a pass to somebody as opposed to hold it, try to turn, get tackled. Like, see him stay on his feet a little bit more, want to see him keep adding more different finishes to his arsenal. Like, he's a great box in the box kind of penalty spot and in. We didn't see any bangers from him from even 15 yards out. But without him, we just did not look like the same team. And as soon as he was inserted back in the starting lineup, so shouts to Patrice and those guys for having him ready for the York game, because he was going at 150% the whole game and looked phenomenal. So I got to go Thiago.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Derek on this one. I thought Perlman was phenomenal. He had one or two games where he's not. I don't think he's a right back naturally. So he's kind of put into a position that he's not used to. But I think for most games he kind of played there manfully, like in defense. And he just kind of grew into the role. And then as an attacking threat, then he pitched in with a couple of goals, a couple of assists. So yeah, I think I'd if he's not playing with TFC in the next year or two, I'd be surprised, to be honest. I'd love to see him come back for another year. I don't know what they're going to decide to do, but yeah, I thought he was fantastic. So yeah, good job. And then drum roll, your player of the year, your Wanderers player of the year. Dave, you can kick us off here.
Okay, I had lots of thoughts. Again, I think we've talked for the last few weeks about what a strong spine we've had from Thiago all the way through TMG. But after hearing a very good debate by our lawyer friend over there, I think our player of the year has to be Isaiah. And everybody knows my love for Lorenzo. So, Lorenzo, if you're listening to this en français, I'm so sorry. But he added so much to our team this year, getting us up and down the field, getting in the ref's face when he needed it, getting in other players' face when guys needed to be defended. A lot of his gritty work doesn't show up in the stats because, like, I feel like he would go in for a tackle and then we would win the second ball. And actually, I think what gets underplayed is his skill level. Like, he is a phenomenal footballer. Like, he can do anything except the long ball that Lorenzo can hit. He can do anything that the rest of those guys can do. He can beat players one-on-one. He can switch the field. He can control the game. He can go forward. He can defend. And I just think he's been a phenomenal addition to this team. Shout out to our boys, Ray and Thiago, who I also thought had great years. But Isaiah's got to be the guy for me.
Derek?
Send the man a box of cinnamon buns. I had Lorenzo Caligari, noted cinnamon bun aficionado, as my player of the year. Again, I think, we've talked about a number of players tonight and what Isaiah's added to the team, what it's like when we're missing Thiago. But I think that the player that it is most noticeable when he's not in the lineup is Lorenzo, and that cavalry game that Dave pointed to is a good example. I mean, we just looked sluggish. We had nothing going forward whatsoever in that game. Perlman created, I think, a bit of Ray and Perlman created a bit of a moment of magic to claw one goal back. But other than that, we got run off the pitch in that game, and I think you see the difference it makes when he's not in the lineup. So he's my guy. Honorable mention to Isaiah, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I've mentioned it a couple of times tonight. I think it's like I say. I think it's just a great signing. It's like, Gary was talking all last season about the kind of player that we needed, and Isaiah Johnson was that guy. It's just he just complemented Lorenzo so well. He's calm on the ball. He kind of reminds me of, and I hate saying this, but like Rampy, like 3 or 4 years ago, that you kind of had that kind of person in the middle who could take the ball, shimmy, and he's just got a great engine, so he just made us a much more solid football team, and he just complemented everybody around him. Still don't think that he should be played on the left. If anybody remembers that game where we shifted him out to the left. But yeah, I just great guy. Like the passion. Like I think it was one game where he was like on the tear. Like at the end of one of the games, he was like running around, bumping people and whatever. And you kind of love to see that, right? So I think that's a great addition to our football club, and it's the kind of player that we really needed. So yeah, I say and he just seems like a quiet guy too, right? It's just kind of just goes. I think Derek, you said at the start that he was kind of like an unsung hero, didn't make it into many teams of the week when he should have. I really feel like he should have been around the player of the year mentions for the league too. So yeah, congratulations, Isaiah. Isaiah wins it, Derek. Sorry, you've been outvoted, and for young player of the year, Adam Perlman. So Dave, you're outvoted on that. It kind of it's I always get this stuff right. That's basically what I do.
Everyone's a winner when they're mentioned on the pubbies.
That's very, very true. That is very, very true. So yeah, so it's we got the final on Sunday. I think it is Sunday, the final. I think that they've sold 10,000 tickets already. I saw Ottawa post out today, which is great. I've been loving seeing the one soccer behind the scenes of Tommy in the changing room. I think we should.
Yeah, they should do more of that.
Yeah, I think they should go and poach. I think they should go and poach Tommy. I'd love to see Tommy in Halifax. I think it'd be a great.
I mean, it pissed me off. They did it a couple of years ago when we lost to Pacific in the playoffs, and they had that great behind the scenes with Merriman doing his pregame talk and everything. And I actually thought, I was bitter at the time, but I actually thought it was a great little. And I wish they do that. Wish they do stuff like that more often.
I guess it really depends on if the coach wants it, because some coaches find it a distraction. I love it. I think it's a great. It's great to kind of see behind the scenes, like just a little bit when he was kind of like ask him where Marco was, because Marco was still doing TV stuff, and it was just he. You kind of everybody kind of has their idea of what Tommy Whelan Jr. is like, but actually seeing him with the players and how he put across how proud he was of everybody, and he kind of special mentions for people. Yeah, it was kind of nice. It would have been great to be like a fly on the wall for the Wanderers this year. To be perfectly honest, I think Amazon Prime need to do a behind the scenes documentary of the CPL.
Well, listen,
when-
I'm happy to have another strong Evertonian in the Wheeldon family join us in Halifax. So, we're ready for you, Tommy.
Jay can take over. Jay can take over Calvary, and we'll take Tommy. I like that. So yeah, lads, it's kind of almost like a wrap of the year, really, isn't it? Like, I mean, there's not. We just have the final to go to. Hopefully, I'd like to see Calvary winning, but I'd also like to see Sammy Salter score a goal just to kind of finish off his season and leave the Ottawa fans with a little bit of magic. But next week we're going to have hopefully a couple of guys from Block 108 where we kind of just talk for about the behind the scenes of getting the kitchen ready for the mania that they bring. I think it'd be kind of cool to see what their match day kind of looks like. So lads, really appreciate it. And Derek, you said you were going to make up the awards to hand out to people. I think I heard you say that.
Yeah,
handcrafted.
Handcrafted, yeah.
He's gonna rob some pint glasses from the Celtic Horn and spray paint them gold. Thanks, lads. Talk soon.
All right, cheers, lads.
Folks, please. Right foot, please. Time to drink up, folks. Get out. Out your foot.